This episode of TechZulu is brought to you by Mobile Roadie, a simple and inexpensive way for anyone to build and manage their own iPhone app.
Aloha, I'm CoachDeb, and I'm here with Aaron Strout, also at Aaron Strout and at CoachDeb on Twitter. And we're here at South by Southwest. We're in the Bloggers Lounge, and I wanted to pull Aaron aside. He's one of the Power influencers, so you should be following him. He is the CMO of Powered. You sponsored a fabulous party, fabulous barbecue out on the outskirts of Austin. And tell us a little bit about businesses at South by, your take on that, how they can play a bigger role, and just tell them all about it.
So the thing that's exciting is I've been to South by Southwest for 3 years in a row now, and every year it's grown. It started more with the nerds the first year,
yes.
And then every year there have been more and more brands that have come along. And I think what's nice about that is the fact that brands are really starting to get social, and the fact that they understand that South by Southwest is a place to come and meet the influencers, people like yourself, also a big-time influencer, mover and shaker in the industry. And I'm encouraged by that. And what was really nice is we had a few clients and a few prospective clients that came into town this weekend, and I will tell you that a few of them were from financial services, which, as a regulated industry, is not the easiest place in the world to do something like social. And they weren't just, attending panels and being sort of nerds, but they were coming out to the parties and they were staying out late. Not because they just want to stay out late and drink, but they really fundamentally, I think, wanted to understand the culture. So I think it was fantastic, and I think that we're just going to see more and more of it next year.
Totally agree. What do you see as the main benefit for companies and brands being here at South by? What do you think they get, whether it's ROI or what is it that is the main benefit? Why should businesses be here? If they're thinking about their budget and saying, should I be at South by? What would you tell them?
Yeah, so I think there are a couple of things. One of them is establishing some street cred, right? So I think we know Scott Monty. He's a friend of ours. He runs social media for Ford. And I've been talking with a few people about how he's earned a lot of credibility, both from a social perspective, which then I think has led to more of a marketing and awareness perspective, because he's created this touch point with someone human at the company. And so last year he had a huge South by Southwest. Christopher Barger, who runs social for Chevy now, which is part of GM, he had a huge South by this year. And so what's good is that they're coming here, they're showing that they get it, they're showing that they're trying, they're talking about their companies and not just pimping their products, but really having conversations, committing to a dialogue. So that's one. The other is meeting people like yourself, meeting people like Rick Calvert over here is doing an interview, or Jason Falls, or Liz Strauss, who are movers and shakers, and understanding who they are and the importance that they're playing in the industry.
So tell people who maybe don't know, what would be the importance of meeting the influencers here and what their power is over their tribe?
Sure. So, the beauty of what I've been able to do, and I came from a large financial services company and did interactive marketing for them for 9 years, is starting to know the people that are moving the industry. So a lot of these bloggers, one, they do have these tribes or these groups of almost cult-like followers, I'll say, super dedicated, which is a good thing. I mean that in a positive way. And I know you certainly have that type of following. And so if these people are friendly with you and they are trying to understand your brand, and maybe you're doing nice things like giving them test drives in your car so they can experience them, then, no quid pro quo. You just say, if you want to write about it, great. If you don't, then that's fine too. So that's one thing that's helpful. And then also knowing that these folks are now the ones that are starting to drive traditional media. So you get, on Liz Strauss's blog, and maybe that ends up on, Mashable or TechCrunch, or maybe Liz Strauss's blog goes right to Business Week or something like that. Darren Rose or Chris Rogan, these traditional journalists are paying attention to Twitter, and they're paying attention to the blogs. And if you look at the fact that they're now starting to pick up their stories here, why wouldn't you want to get to know them and let them know that you're a good person and you get it?
Would you say this is major PR for a company to be here?
I think it definitely can be major PR. I think maybe first go around, not as much. I think you need to come for at least a year, get the lay of the land, understand who's doing what, who the people are, not being, can I say bad words on this? Or
yes, you can.
Ian Schaefer wrote this post called 10 Ways Not to Be a Douchebag at South by Southwest.
Right.
And so the idea is that come in and be humble, be respectful. Maybe come to the Bloggers Lounge, but don't go up to Brian Solis or Rick or you or whoever.
Pitch your product or
pitch, or hey, let me tell you about this. practice, right?
Right.
Earn that respect.
Right.
Go to some of the panels, go to some of the parties, and get the lay of the land. So then maybe the next year, then it can be a much bigger PR play because you do know the landscape and you can start to make your moves.
And you just touched on something, and I'm smelling food coming in here, and I think I saw a keg. It looks like burgers are coming in. I guess I ate too early. But a little bit about the parties. And we'll wrap up with this concept that it's not just necessarily about the panels and being here to learn, but what happens after hours, and why is that powerful? And one of the concepts we've been talking about is shared experiences, and there's a study about people that share an experience, and this is done in college, where there's a plant and someone who's just coming in and they have no idea that they're being in part of a study. But 50% of the people, even if they didn't have any conversation of rapport building, oh, she's just like me, yet 50% would say yes to an outrageously uncomfortable request. Like, in other words, it put them out of the way, and they had to write a paper for them in 24 hours. But 50% would say yes just because they shared an experience of taking a test together. So part of that, I think, is happening at these parties, but why would that be the most important thing if they did nothing else but come here and do the after-hours party?
Yeah, I think this is a critical piece because there are a lot of people, I've heard a lot of spouses, tease there, especially because it's been nice other than today, it's been gorgeous.
They think it's a big old party.
Right, you're out late, there are all these drinks and food and stuff. What I will tell you is think about going golfing with someone. Think about going out and having a dinner with someone.
Right.
You may not talk about business, most of the time, or even, any of the time. But you're starting to get, I know, oh, you've got kids. I know what your interests are, what your passions are. And you start to create that relationship. And this is what online does as well. We talk on Twitter all the time. We're not talking business, right? But because of that, we've got to know each other. So going out and spending time and sort of having breakfast at, 1 o'clock in the morning with a Brian Solis and Jess Berlin or whoever who does social for Cirque du Soleil, those are experiences that you can never replicate going to a conference and seeing him speak. I'd love to see Brian speak, but I don't have that sort of, it's a one-way dialogue. It's not let's sit and chat about things that are funny or tell personal stories.
Yeah, you put it perfectly, and that's what we want to relate to people so that they understand that it's not just a party for party's sake. There's strategic networking and relationship building that's going on, and just think about that with the people you do business with, and that you like to do business with the people you know, like, and trust. And it's the same thing, and social media just describes that. Any last final thoughts or comments or tips for the viewer?
I think,
grab
since we're talking about South by Southwest, a lot of people come and I think they try to overdo it. Keep it simple. Come in and want to meet a few people, see a few panels, attend a couple parties, but don't overdo it and let serendipity lead the way.
I like that. It's a great tip. So this is Aaron Strout. Follow him online on Twitter. And what about your website? Is it
Powered.com, and I have a business blog there at powered.com/blog, or you can read my personal business blog, which is stroutmeister.com.
Follow him, subscribe, and I'm Coach Deb on Twitter. You can follow me at quansight.com or my blog tribalseduction.com. Aloha from South by Southwest.